And now, retail media strategy. How Poppi revolutionized the soda category in a complex market. Please welcome to the stage Poppi co-founder and chief brand officer Allison Ellsworth with Tinuiti's retail media guru Sean Brown.
Well, I'm going to start with guru is a big stretch. So first, I'm thrilled to share the stage with Allison. She's one of our favorite clients, favorite brands, and just favorite people. And they have an amazing brand story to talk about, and a great rise to what they've been doing. In fact, what's been going on as a brand, you guys set out to reimagine and re-establish what the soda category looks like. I think you guys have accomplished that. #1 on Amazon on search for soda, which is a huge piece. And been growing the brand ever since. And so we'd love to hear more about the journey, because there's a special story behind all that of what's been going on and how you guys became a brand.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for everybody joining. And I am Allison, like they said. And how this started was back 4 or 5 years ago. I had a lot of health issues, and I wasn't feeling very good. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And at the time, I had an unhealthy gut. And so I started Googling my symptoms, and I read that you could drink apple cider vinegar to reset and detox your body. It made me feel amazing, but there was one problem, that it tastes absolutely horrible, right? I don't know if anybody's had straight apple cider vinegar before, but I don't recommend it. And if you do, it's not sustainable. So I went to my kitchen and I created Poppi. I played around, but I wanted to keep it healthy. I also wanted it to taste amazing. So sometimes that's a little bit hard to do, but I feel like we've done a good job. And we took it to our local farmer's market. And within 2 weeks of being there, the Whole Foods buyer came by our booth and was like, "This is amazing. You guys have to be in Whole Foods." And I was like, "Yeah, of course we do." And so we quit our jobs. We went all in. And then we decided, I saw on Instagram that Mark Cuban had posted Shark Tank coming to town that weekend. And we went for it. And we went to try out and got all the way onto Shark Tank, got a deal with Rohan Oza, who is our lead investor as well as our shark. And it's just been crazy ever since. And for you that don't know, we launched Poppi in March of 2020, right when COVID hit. So, super fun.
And you've had a great rise ever since then.
It has been a great ride.
So before, as we're getting ready for all this, we talked about brand experience a lot. And so what does brand experience mean for you and for Poppi as a brand?
So what's interesting, since getting the deal on Shark Tank, we actually took the time to step back and look at what we should be as a brand. We did some consumer research, we did a name change, we did a packaging change. We wanted to figure out the tone of what our voice was for the company, what we were going after, and what market share we were going after. So from that, what I always say is you want to put the brand first, and that's what we did from day one. We weren't super concerned with performance marketing back then. Now I know it's important to have both, but from our Amazon packaging to our labels, we stayed in sleeve labels if we're direct printed because it was brighter on the shelf. We really wanted to bring the brand to life from day one. It came out of the gate really, really strong. And then something else that we've really learned that's worked well for our brand is being authentic. I think that you've probably heard that over the course of today, is being authentic and real online. It's really great, the consumer's connecting with it. And then on top of it is being disruptive. I think that that's something that we do really well here at Poppi, is being disruptive and doing things different, for better or for worse.
I can attest to that. She's been filming everywhere and being disruptive as she can be.
You guys are all going to be on TikTok.
So not only you're the founder of Poppi, but you're also this huge influencer to varying degrees. And so not only that, you're probably responsible for a majority of the sales at Poppi as being an influencer. Talk to us about what influencer and how TikTok and the platforms work for you.
It's interesting because personally, I don't have that many followers, but on our TikTok, we've gained quite a bit because I knew back, I think before TikTok and a lot of brands were using it, that it was such a powerful platform. So I personally took it on as the founder. I didn't want anyone to waste any budget or do anything crazy. And I started posting, and I learned the platform. I learned how to edit. I learned how to post, what was trending, what wasn't. Do I use hashtags? Do I not use hashtags? But I did that personally. And one day I sat down on a Friday night. My hair was not fixed, and I just started telling the story of what I did earlier in the session of how I started Poppi. And I went to bed, and I woke up the next day, and it had gone viral. And we did over $100,000 in one day from this video. And just for context, we've also worked with J-Lo, and I converted more than J-Lo did, and I think that's pretty cool to say. But we've continued to grow and double down there. But what's really interesting about TikTok is I think that if you guys want to implement it and use it, is you have to learn it and use it. So I don't know who here has the platform downloaded, actually uses it, because strategy has to come from the top down, because I understand the platform. Hence, we know how to use it, we utilize it 360, not just posting from influencers to it's our highest converter in email and SMS, and all of that down below. So.
Right. So you want to talk more about how it's a real thing and how you've been using it to get a huge base?
Yeah, so Poppi, we've been on TikTok a little over a year, and we already have 1 billion views. So that's quite a bit for a brand our size and a company of only 2 years old. But it's because we've really been utilizing it. And what's interesting is I see like my content, my campaign, that I'm talking as the authentic voice of Poppi and telling this story. And it's really resonating with the consumer. On top of it, we're hitting our exact consumer. In our comments, we hear people saying, I just bought this at Publix, or I just got this on Amazon, or I just ran to Target and, the Target hauls, and you see it actually working, and it's our exact consumer from, the 34-year-old mom to the Gen Z. We're seeing all the different levels, and the organic reach on there is just unheard of. We haven't even scratched the surface, but we've also grown our email and SMS list to over 200,000 in 1 year, just from TikTok alone. And we're also using it as like a lever of how we see the platform of we pulse it, we see the Amazon sales go, we kind of go down and we see the Amazon sales. So it is getting to the point where we're actually having to use some of this, performance marketing and some data here. But at the end of the day, I think we've done well marrying the two and continuing to see it grow.
With that, do you feel, because of those spikes and the ups and downs, do you feel pressure to constantly be putting that content out there?
I do. It's funny, our team puts schedules for me to be film this TikTok now. And so I try to instead of reading the news in the morning, I actually try to get on the platform every single day. So I understand what is trending versus having our young, employees telling us what is cool, because I just don't think that you can truly utilize it if you're not using these platforms. And I think it's important for me to understand it.
Agreed.
Create good content.
So in continuing that story, how you guys have used different types of content on the platform and how you've driven onto other platforms and other uses of it.
Yeah, so everybody knows motion is king, right? So I kind of mentioned with our email and SMS list working for us, but what's also really interesting is the way that when we send an email out or an SMS, it spikes the algorithm on Amazon. It almost repogs us. So we were able to hit top 50 in grocery of all of Amazon. Our search was ranked #1 for soda. That was above Pepsi and Coke. And on top of it, we were weeks at #1 against soda and search. We have the Amazon choice bags. And all of this comes really from our insiders that we've gained from TikTok with me just talking to them. We're pulsing them through email and SMS, and we're seeing the spike and the repog on Amazon. And what's really great is it's the awareness path of what we're seeing. So it starts on TikTok with the awareness. It moves to acquisition on Amazon and Instacart. Then we see this hybrid of people then purchasing in store. So I think as digital marketers for us in the CPG industry is how do you drive velocity in store, right? That's the key. We're racking our brains. How do you get people to pull it off the shelf? And I feel like we figured it out a little bit, going back to what I was saying with the comments of I bought it at Target and Whole Foods and really seeing the spikes. And what was really interesting is we started spending quite a bit more on Instacart lately. And we don't get the data from the grocery store, so we reached out to someone that we had a great relationship with, and they said, look, you guys haven't been doing anything else. What's going on? You saw a 15% spike in your sales. In our head, well, we know it was Instacart. So then we told him, it's Instacart, we're excited, we're gonna double down. He's like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know if I want you to double down because it was uncomfortable for him, it was change, it was digital forward, but we were seeing the velocities in store. And so I think it's uncomfortable for people that aren't used to working with, these new ways to like how we've married the in-store with the digital, which is really exciting.
Right. Which takes us to the next part of like, look, for me personally, as apparently a guru, of understanding shopper marketing and media, the fact of how you've leveraged what you've done on these platforms creatively, and to translate that into retail and going into Amazon and platforms. So I'd love to understand a little bit more about the creativity and the work that goes into the brand as you build that.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We like to say we put the fun in functionality. So I think with it, you have to still have a little bit of fun with it. But I think I was sitting in an Instacart meeting. They were going over all the analytics, and sometimes I'm like on TikTok playing. And I heard that we were seeing these spikes, and it hit me all at once. And I thought, how do we use influencers to drive in-store velocity again? So I was thinking to myself, okay, it's hard to maybe get people to buy 12 cans on Amazon, right? But if they can just buy 1 can on Instacart, how interesting would that be? Now we're all of a sudden, that can shows up, it's in your cart, do you want to add again type of situation? And so we are about to launch an influencer campaign where it's like influencers are talking about just add 1 can. That's all you got to do. And the best part about it, it's evergreen content that we can use versus specific to Target, specific to Publix, specific to a retailer, because it's really hard to geo-target with influencers because their followers might not live, we're next to the store, and it's always this like murky territory. And so we use influencer marketing, but also we want like this cohesiveness. So if you see like across all of our brand, you've heard me talk about being authentic, at the end of the day, we need that brand cohesiveness. So you want your brand store to look beautiful. We want our B+ imagery and our PDB pages to all be really nice and beautiful and cohesive across, on top of always talking and telling that authentic brand story.
Yeah, I love that you guys are doing that. So many brands look at Amazon or the marketplaces as a functional delivery, and they miss a lot of that brand emotion coming there. And so a lot of what we see from your TikTok, that same vibe, that same brand comes through on these pages, and I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think it's a good example. I love to tell this story where if you have 2 brands, like for example, you have like a Nike and an Asics, right? They both create a fantastic shoe, but Nike is the brand that most people remember because they've created that emotional connection with how we feel, right? If you think of Apple versus Microsoft, Apple's done the same thing. Well, here at Poppi, we feel like that's what we want to do as well, is create that emotional connection. And so people want to remember and see and feel and more than just like the product. So for example, with our can, it's cute, it jumps off the shelf. It's a better for you product, but do we have lose weight, 5 grams, like a ton of stuff on the front? No, we want people to try our product, fall in love with it, turn it to the back and go, oh my gosh, this is good for me. We want that kind of path to happen. So they're emotionally connected, and then the bonus is that it's good for you too.
Agreed. We're gonna stick with that. As a proof point that some of this, it's not just the creative and the TikTok. There's business results from this. So we literally shared dozens of numbers with you a couple weeks ago that are all astronomical like these. But the brand up 87% in volume quarter on quarter, 141%. That's an Instacart number of what you were up. So that's your Publix number. And then 106% on new user acquisition. I mean, there are so many more numbers we could shower you guys with, but it's an amazing story of when great content leveraged on the right platforms can deliver real business results.
Right.
Yeah. So as we look at, speaking of data, as we look at that, how do you view data and how do you leverage that with your business moving forward?
So it's a little controversial, but when it comes to data, it's nice to have, and I get it, we're here at Tinuiti Live, and we're performance marketers, but sometimes you just have to go with your gut feeling. And it goes back to that brand first mentality. If you can put the brand first and you can marry it with the performance marketing, that's really gonna be the key. And I think it's interesting, and some people that maybe haven't done that with the companies in the past, I would challenge you to go to your leadership team or the board or whatever and just give you, like, I love what we call as our Black's Ops budget. Just give me 50K or give me whatever it is and let me just prove to you what it can do. And that's what I originally did with TikTok back in the day, and we ended up going viral with it, and it was something that I took on, and it was something I believed in as a marketer lead, and so I would just challenge you guys to try to do the same.
Yeah. And when we have some of these visuals up, one of the things we also talked about is like, there's a kind of a hack you have for the work and creative you do. I'd love to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it goes back to the way that we do it is nobody really loves the high gloss anymore. Now you see Poppi and our images are so beautiful, and you have to have different strategy per channel. Like on our Instagram, it's very beautiful, and we use where I map out what it's gonna look like weeks ahead of time, or sometimes 2 days ahead of time, depending on if you wanna stay on top of trends. Don't get too far ahead of yourselves. But on top of it, it's just user-generated content is king, you guys. Influencer content, people out in the field were telling the story. I was in there building displays, right? Getting content of us actually, the behind the scenes, tell stories of your employees, what they're doing. And it doesn't have to be a beautiful picture with them. People want to see the real nowadays and connect with you on that brand level. So the hack is don't spend so much time and budget on these high glass, huge production pieces. It's not working as well with the consumer as what we're seeing nowadays.
Love it. So as you've gone through this and what your journey has been in the last couple of years, based on all this, what would be 3 takeaways you would share with this group?
So, once again, a little controversial, but I think, this one is the TikTok. Okay, excuse me. So use it, learn it, and live it. Get on the platform. Strategy has to come from top down. Get on the platform, download it, spend time on it, 30 minutes a day, know the trends, and don't just leave it up to the young people on your team to understand the platform. Now this one is controversial, brand over ROI. Put the brand first, layer it with the data, and then you'll have the perfect marriage between the two.
Awesome.
And then of course, connect authentic with the consumer. So super easy, as you see, is if you just want to take away, and you can put honestly all 3 of these into TikTok with connecting authentically, brand over ROI, and learn the platform.
Great. So what's next on the journey for you as your team creates more experiences for Poppi?
Yeah, so what's really interesting, I mentioned it earlier, is Poppi launched in March of 2020, so we've never had the opportunity to do in real life activations. And I'm excited this year. We're going really big in New York this year, and we're actually doing a collab with Marc Jacobs and Bloomingdale's right here in New York at the store. We have a pop-up there, and it's already, I think, going really well. We've found a way to make our brand come to life. It's beautiful, it goes with our brand, and it's also a way for us to give away hundreds of samples a day to the right consumer. So we're excited to take those particular opportunities that work really well for us, and it's so far been a really big success. So we're excited about that.
So make sure you go to Bloomie's.
Yeah, go to
Go get the
Bloomie's.
sound bath while you're here.
Yeah, we'll be there till the end of July.
Awesome. So we invite you guys to do the sampling, do that. Allison, I thank you for the time and appreciate the insights on the brand and your growth.
Yes, thank you so much.
Right.